Hello, welcome everybody. I'm going to get started. So if you want to put cameras on, that's up to you. But it is being recorded. So I'll just start the presentation, and then if you want to ask questions at the end, then we can turn cameras on at the end and stop the recording. So. And if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat, and Louisa will be able to interrupt me if it's appropriate. Otherwise, we'll just leave it until the end. Okay. Right, bear with me. Okay, so welcome to our Schools Our World presentation. So Louisa, I can't see people, so just let me know if there's anything going on.
Okay.
So yeah, okay, great. Welcome. So thanks for your time. So today we're going to be introducing the Our Schools Our World programme. So we launched this back in March. We had our first cohort go through this programme, and this will be our second cohort. So I'm going to talk you through the programme, introduce myself and Louisa, and talk about kind of the structure and the commitment that's involved. If I can work this, there we go. Right, so this is me. I'm Rebecca Elston-Haynes. So I'm the school sustainability lead, and I work on behalf of all Suffolk public sector organisations, and that includes all Suffolk councils. I'm an ex-teacher. I was a secondary teacher. I taught science and child development in Hertfordshire. And Louisa is our school sustainability support officer, also an ex-teacher. And yeah, so we're just really excited to be part of the school sustainability team, working and helping schools become more sustainable. And we think the Our Schools Our World programme is a fantastic way for schools to engage in sustainability. So just a little bit about what my main role, which is that I started the Suffolk Sustainable Schools Network. So this is a network for school staff, and the aim of it is to kind of keep schools up to date with what's going on in terms of sustainability, any grants that are available, any training that's available, and signpost schools to sustainability support from a range of different organisations, whether that be involved in biodiversity or adaptation or decarbonisation. So we do deal with a lot of different types of school audience. For example, we help site managers and business managers, but we also help curriculum staff and support staff as well. So I definitely encourage you to sign up to the network. It's kind of complements the Our Schools Our World programme, but I thought I'd mention that that's kind of my day-to-day role, and then the Our Schools Our World is primarily Louisa's baby, if you like, but I support her with that as well. So the Our Schools Our World. So basically this programme was started about 3 years ago by Katie Eberstein, who works down in Brighton and Hove for Brighton and Hove Council, and Jonathan Cooper, who is an ex-head teacher and is just very passionate about sustainability and managed to implement a lot of sustainability initiatives in his school before he retired. And it is designed by schools for schools. So basically, Brighton and Hove started with a cohort of just 10 schools, but they ran the programme over 4 cohorts, and they managed to reach over 90% of their schools in the region. And the idea was that it was improved, it was reviewed constantly along that journey, and therefore it's really a programme that's been co-created between the council and the schools. And a range of different schools were involved, including SEN schools. Secondaries did feed into this programme in some capacity, but it was mainly primary schools. And it was important that the programme fitted the environment and the context that the schools worked in, and it was really relevant to the schools, and that's why it was so important to have such a strong voice for the schools in the creation of the programme. So basically, Katie and Jonathan, after they'd kind of done this so successfully in Brighton and Hove, they actually applied for a grant from an organisation called Let's Go Zero that supports schools with their climate action plans and decarbonisation, and they managed to get that grant, and they've rolled out the programme to 4 other hubs, so Devon, Brent, Bedfordshire and Leicester. And then we basically piggybacked onto that and said, oh, we'd love to be involved as well. So we received the training alongside these different regions across the country, and basically off the back of that, alongside the Brighton and Hove schools, over 200 schools are currently going through or have gone through the Our Schools, Our World programme. So you can see that, you know, by taking part, you'll have access to a range of resources that are developed by different schools, but also if we can build the kind of number of schools that are undergoing this programme in Suffolk, then hopefully we can create some resource sharing and some networking that will be specific for our region. Anything else? Yeah, it's designed to be a trailblazing kind of program in that it's transformational. We want the students to really feel like they're prepared for the challenging future that they're facing. So the program is designed to build skills and knowledge of how to live more sustainably, but also encourage schools and their students and the community, so families as well, to make the right choices around their behaviours when it comes to sustainability. And most of all, we want to empower them to take action for climate and nature as well. So this is a new search that I did yesterday. So some of these articles are a little older, but some of them are from this week. And as you can see, the environmental crisis is having a huge impact across the globe. And these impacts have been created by the choices that we make on a daily basis. Obviously, this is not the students' fault, but they do have access to news often, and they are seeing these global events playing out. Now, climate change and biodiversity loss and their consequences are affecting our ability to grow food, our access to clean water, and our ability to maintain economic stability. And these are problems that have been created by humans. And therefore, it's up to humans to change their behaviour to address these challenges. Now, many argue that education is falling woefully short on preparing young people to deal with these challenges. However, we know that many schools are trying, despite many barriers, to integrate sustainable practice into their operations and curriculum where they can. And I'm sure the fact that you're even here on this call, you're listening to this recording, means that you are probably really passionate about this and may have already put things into place within your school setting to try and address some of these challenges. However, this programme is about capturing that energy and finding a way to intentionally drive a culture change in school so that students and the school community can recognise that you're all on a journey to become more sustainable, and hopefully that will drive an empowerment to face these challenges together. So the formal requirement for climate education, which obviously is under review, but as it stands at the moment, it's very limited. So normally sustainability practice in schools instead falls on a very passionate or a group of very passionate individuals that try to implement initiatives on top of an already packed curriculum. Now, Brighton and Hove said that generally schools coming into the programme see sustainability as the role of an eco team or the eco lead teacher, but these teachers tend to be the ones that are passionate about many things and therefore are very restricted on time and resources. And also a small group of students tend to deliver minimal impact on actually addressing sustainability issues, even though they are really passionate. So we wanted to build, or Brighton and Hove wanted to build something bigger that really kind of was visible and would seek to engage more than just the eco team. They wanted to engage the school. And actually, just by engaging just a small number of individuals or putting it in that box of eco stuff with the eco team, it actually kind of works against what you're trying to achieve, because then these sustainability initiatives are always seen as someone else's responsibility. But we know to take action on these challenges, everybody needs to be doing their bit. So with the Our Schools, Our World approach, we're actually sorry, I don't know how that happened. We're actually kind of trying to make a conscious choice to say that it's everybody's responsibility, whether that be a school council member in year 6 or a reception child that's just started at school or a member of the canteen staff or the premises manager. We all have a responsibility to think about our current actions and to think how we can act more sustainably. Sorry. Okay, so we know that young people are concerned about their future, and social media and access to global news and narratives designed for adults can lead to feelings of anxiety, sadness, and depression. And this is what's coming out of the research in terms of young people. So Our Schools, Our World argues that alongside mandated kind of safeguarding responsibilities such as drugs and alcohol and sex and relationships education, it's really important that maybe we place sustainability in the curriculum and see that as a safeguarding duty, in that we're giving students a foundational understanding of key environmental issues and empowering them to take action on these issues as they move forward through the school. So often decisions are being made which will affect the futures of students and their context and their local community, and might even have global implications. And therefore, we have a duty to keep children safe and give them the tools so that they can look after themselves and look after others and look after nature. So ultimately, this programme is about shaping hearts and minds and giving students a moral purpose. Given that you're attending this training, we hope you feel the same. So the other thing Our Schools, Our World seeks to do is kind of really support mental health and well-being within schools and as part of the wider community. And that's why the training is integrated with ThoughtBox. So ThoughtBox is an organisation, it's a charity that supports schools to engage with something called triple well-being. So this is the idea that most crises that are occurring around us is rooted in disconnect. So disconnection with people from their society and from between people and the natural world. For example, 75% of children in the UK are spending more time inside than prison inmates. And therefore, to address this crisis, we need to promote more care. We need to promote care for ourselves, care for others around us, and for the environment in which we live in. And the evidence is clear that outdoor learning and nature connection and environmental education has clear benefits to mental health and well-being, but also promotes creativity, team building, imagination and collaboration, as well as an active lifestyle which can support health in general. So we want children, we know that children want this type of learning. Yeah, they tend to really appreciate that time outside and those learning experiences, such as forest school. And that's why in the Our Schools, Our World programme, there is a thread that runs through the programme, which is about outdoor learning. And we'll be using materials from ThoughtBox, first of all, in our teacher training that we deliver to you, but also we provide you with ThoughtBox resources as you go back and train others within your school. So Our School, Our World believes that it's important to capture everyone's voice when rolling out the programme. So Brighton and Hove started with surveying school communities on their feelings about sustainability practices. And this is a great way to establish a premise for shifting the culture within the school community. It's very powerful to have this information for persuading all stakeholders of the need for change. There is a clear message that through the programme, that the schools want engagement and empowerment. Climate change is a huge and complex topic, and most people feel overwhelmed by it. So if you can engage your students by capturing their voice and showing that you are acting on it, they will feel more positive and empowered to take action in their lives. And therefore they can go home and feel more empowered to talk to their families. There is a power in collective, and the surveys show the possibility for change on a larger scale. So the aims behind the network are detailed here. And basically, there are 4 aims. The first being to develop an integrated environmental education curriculum gradually and systematically. So this programme is designed to fit in with you. Apart from the initial upfront training, which is 3 days, and I'll go through the structure of that, the rest of the framework can be rolled out and delivered in a way that suits your setting. We've been meeting with a lot of the current cohort, and some of them are going through things like, you know, a new curriculum is being integrated, or they are joining an academy trust, and we recognise that you know, things like that are going to come up, and they might mean that you want to just deliver this rollout a little bit more slowly, and that's absolutely fine. Some schools are raring to go and ready, and they've already started the program and started surveying their students, and that's fine too. Other than the training, we will give you the tools to roll it out in a way that suits you. Also, another key aim is to enable young people to develop a close connection with nature, and that's through the curriculum, but also developing outdoor learning and also your outside space. We want to create school organisational systems and practices which support decarbonisation and sustainable practice. So that is why we encourage we invite site managers and business managers to engage with the training as well, so that it's not just a curriculum programme, it's also an operational programme at the same time. And we want to empower the school community to become change makers, both individually and collectively, to inspire hope for the future. Because often when we see these headlines and when we think about climate change and biodiversity loss, we can feel hopeless. But if we feel like we can make that collective action together, then you know, we can keep celebrating the success and taking action, then we can really drive momentum and change. So this is the process. So this is a little bit of a complicated model, but let's just explain it. So the yellow circles is kind of the process, but the idea that you'll follow, but the idea is that it's iterative, so you keep improving what you're doing. But it's just so that you know that the school community sits within that, the whole school sits within that school community, and they can support you in delivering the programme, and that sits within the context of the local council, your local authority, your local trust, and local experts and organisations. And the programme is designed so that you can try and engage these people to support you along your journey. So just what we do is we start off with the training. So we provide 3 days worth of training. And like I said, I'll go through that in a minute and who's involved. But the first thing you need to do is decide who's going to engage with that. So you need to have a program lead. Everything is driven by the program lead. That doesn't mean they do all the work, far from it. We really encourage that program lead to think about delegation and how they're going to structure that communication to staff. But we do need a program lead and the head teacher to be on board before we can start delivering the training. And once you've undergone the training, a lot of our schools went back into school really excited about the possibilities of this programme. That's when you get together with your committee and come up with a vision and culture, kind of a vision for what you want to achieve with the programme. When you're ready, because there's lots of prep to do, there's the audits and the surveys that we provide you with, that's when you can launch the programme, do it when you're ready. And that's when you kind of start gathering student voice, start talking to your stakeholders, maybe engage any experts or local organisations to help you. And that's when you can roll out and start greening your curriculum. And we do that process slowly. You focus on different themes, which I'll talk about in a minute. And that is all supported by Nature Connection in the school and your audits and action as you go along. And hopefully the result will be that your students feel like they're becoming change makers. So the initial kind of commitment is our training days. So these will be delivered on the 30th of September, the 1st of October and the 2nd of October. So that first day is all about excellence in leadership for sustainability. And it is a requirement of the programme that you have the head teacher attend that or a member of SLT, and preferably a sustainability governor if you have one, or someone that's interested in becoming a sustainability governor, and your senior programme lead will need to attend that day as well. And that day is where we give you the framework and you start to sit down and think about what dates will suit you for the rollout of the programme. So we really try and help you hit the ground running in terms of going back to school and start implementing change, obviously in a gradual way, but you know, hopefully if you sit in that room and you can agree the dates, then it's more likely to happen as soon as you get back into school. The 1st of October, that's when we work with the programme leads to look at greening the curriculum, how you can create an effective curriculum and assessment in terms of sustainability. And we also have that thought box training on supporting eco-anxiety. And then the 3rd day is all around climate action planning. So the Department of Education have said that they expect schools to have a sustainability lead in place and a climate action plan by the end of this academic year. It's not mandatory, so lots of schools haven't got that in place yet, but the idea is that this day we're supported by an organisation called Let's Go Zero, but this day is designed, again, we give you example climate action plans and we give you templates, and the idea is that you start your climate action plan if you haven't already, or if you have one, you bring it along and you develop it in line with what your main priorities are for the programme. And we invite school managers or site managers to that day, and the senior programme leads are welcome as well. We did find that a lot of senior programme leads from our first cohort chose to stay. In fact, probably about half of our schools chose to stay for that 3rd day just because they felt it was going to be really useful for them to understand the whole programme and not feel left out of that operational element. So some of the supporting organisations, so these organisations are either involved in the training or they can be involved after your training to support you along the way. So we've got the National Education Nature Park, Thought Box, Let's Go Zero, like I said, they'll be there for the climate action planning. We've got the Count Your Carbon, which is a carbon footprinting tool for schools. We will take you through that on the 3rd day as well. And then the recently launched Sustainability Governor network, we can also signpost your hopefully newly appointed sustainability governors onto that. And we've also got support from climate ambassadors as well that can help you with whatever you want to deliver in your schools. Okay, so just some I'm just going to talk about some of the resources that are available to support you with the programme. This is the beginning of the framework. So this is the document that you receive. Sorry, I'm just going to have a drink. This is the document you receive on the 1st day, on the Sustainability Leadership Day. And the idea is it's a step-by-step guide on how you roll out the programme. And you can start putting dates. Doesn't mean the dates can't change. It just means that you can start thinking about the timings and what suits you, who you might need to talk to about rolling out the programme. And it's just really useful for the head teachers to be there because all of those dates are agreed in the moment. And you know that well, head teachers and the senior programme leads know that they're on the same page. The other thing about the framework is it's flexible, so you can move things around. If it doesn't suit you, for example, to talk to the governors first, then you can kind of swap things around. Again, that 1st day is an ideal time for you to think about the structure of that framework. Sorry. So this is the overall structure of the 2-year programme. So after the initial training, the idea is that you go away, you do the prep work, and that might take you a term. But then once you've launched the programme, you're working your way through 6 key themes. So each term, you are focusing on a theme. For example, you might want to start with biodiversity. And there's assemblies to support you and suggested actions that you can take within that theme. But the idea is that you're not changing the whole curriculum. You're simply looking at the curriculum through the lens of biodiversity. How can you pick out anything biodiversity related in what you're teaching, or can you get out into your school grounds more? Can you look at developing your gardening area? Could you look at developing your biodiversity on site? Are there any organisations that can come in and support you related to biodiversity during that term? So it's, you know, by concentrating on a theme per term, it does not mean you do everything at once and you're not scattergunning sustainability and getting a bit overwhelmed. The idea is that you just take it step by step. And during that time, while you're working through your different themes, you're looking at the curriculum, you're greening it as you go and looking for opportunities for nature connection. And as as you go as well, your school operations is also thinking about those themes. You know, is it a chance to review your policy around use of pesticides, for example, whilst you're concentrating on a biodiversity? If you then move on to energy, is it a chance to look at the decarbonisation of your estate, look at ways that you can reduce drafts and therefore minimise your use of heating? So the idea is that you're reviewing curriculum and reviewing the operations as you go through these different themes. So the 6 themes are here. So we've got biodiversity, energy, water, transport, food, and consumption and waste. And you can do this in any order that you want. So it might just be that you've currently got an eco team and they're really passionate about waste. They've been saying for a long time they want to sort out the recycling system in the school. If that's the momentum and that's the drive that you've already got in place, start with waste. That, you know, and then you can go on to, say, the next term is a summer term and you want to look at biodiversity, maybe it just fits to do it then. But it's just nice that you can move the topics around and think about what fits in with you and your context. So I'm just trying to think here. So the other thing is you can develop your strategy group. So you've already got your staff members that have been involved in the initial training, but your strategy group might include anyone else on the governing body that might be interested or have particular focus. Maybe you've got community allotment growers that really want to get involved in the food side of things, but you also want to get some student voice in there, so you might want to have some student council input, and basically there will also be, I'll talk you through this in a minute, but we've got a website where you can connect to local organisations that support you specifically with these themes. So let's talk about some of the resources. So you'll be supported by a website. So currently this is our website. This is a clone of the original Brighton and Hove website, and it's got loads of information on it. So there's details about the Our Schools, Our World. Actually, Louisa, can you put the website link into the chat? That would be really great for everybody. So an overview of the programme and the Our Schools, Our World. We update the news section so that you can find out what's going on in your local area. All the curriculum resources are on the curriculum section, and that includes things like assemblies, audits, surveys, all of these templates that Brighton and Hove have created to support you. There's Carbon Zero by 2030, so that's all the decarbonisation and climate action planning, and kind of the operational support for that process will be under Carbon Zero 2030. We've got a section on nature connection and outdoor learning. And then here we've got local and national organisations. So me and Louisa try and keep that local organisation section up to date and really try and guide you when you're working on these different themes to reach out to organisations that can support you or provide you with advice. And then there's another section on articles and research that can help you kind of persuade stakeholders of the evidence and the support behind what you're trying to do. Just to note, we are changing this website, so we are developing our own Suffolk specific website for all schools. So some of this information will be kind of in a different area. So we'll have general support on our main website, and then we're going to have a login, a specific login area. So just so you know, that's being developed as we speak, and should be available by the cohort training on the 30th of September. If you do want to have a look at this website, just so you know, some of the curriculum resources are behind a password. If you do really want to look at those in advance, I mean, I'm going to show you some screenshots now, but if you do want to look at those in advance, please do get in touch and I can send that password out. Okay, so some of the resources, these are examples. So we have audits for every theme, and this is this is just a snapshot of the biodiversity theme. So you can see that these are checklists that you can red, amber, green. You can do this as within your leadership team with your governors, or you can do this with the students. You know, it's really about thinking about what the school's already doing, how you can progress it. and kind of celebrating success. Because if you do have projects going on at the moment, it's really great to go to have it all in one place and think, wow, we are doing a lot for biodiversity, but can we do more? So that's an example of the audits. There's also assembly resources, and as you can see, they're all separated into the different themes. There are additional resources on climate change. Some schools have really thought about climate change and how they teach it, and therefore have that kind of structure in place already. But if you want to develop that in an area, then there's also assembly resources in there, and that can help you launch the program as well. We've also got curriculum resources again in these different sections. So, and this is an area where there's lots of things that have already been brought together by Brighton and Hove. We will add things to these areas, but also if you develop a resource that you're really proud of, you really think could help other schools in Suffolk and is really specific to Suffolk and can drive that kind of place-based learning, please send it through to us. We will upload it and share it that way. So once you are part of the programme, you can see that schools can often network more easily and kind of really drive that community of practice, trying to achieve the same thing and driving that culture of sustainability. So all of the training, so obviously we train you, and then the rollout of the program does require the senior program leads to lead training with their staff in their school, and that is supported by videos. For example, a video by Thoughtbox. We also have videos that we've collected from Aim High and taken from COP26, which can kind of support you in teaching climate basics so that everybody has a basic understanding of climate science and what is actually going on and why we need to take action. So all of that is supported, and obviously me and Louisa are available if you ever have any questions about that. And this is kind of the CPD framework that Brighton and Hove put together over these various cohorts that they worked with. It's kind of an example of what you can do. Again, it's flexible, but the idea is that year one, term one, the idea is that you should start off with climate basics, and there's some links there for some videos if you're not feeling too comfortable with it. And then in term two, there's how to talk to young people about climate change. That's supported by the Thoughtbox video. And then, you can see that all of these kind of curriculum development. So is kind of guided by the Greening the Curriculum documents. And the idea is that if you get those meetings booked in with your head teacher within that first day, or you think about booking them in as soon as you get back to school, that will drive the momentum that you need to make sure this is really getting embedded into your staff training and therefore the structure of your school. What else is available is kind of a document that guides where students should be in terms of their understanding of climate issues and also biodiversity issues, sustainability issues in general. This is a guide. This is something that Brighton and Hove have put together. Again, it's flexible. It's designed to be in student speak, but it might be something that you want to sit down and look at and think about, well, does this fit with our current curriculum? Do we feel like our students would be able to cope with that knowledge then, or do we think actually we already teach a lot of this, so we think they should be much further along than this suggests? But I really like this because I think it's a clear layout of where you want students to be, and you can play around with this document as you like. Another support document is these conceptual milestones. So thinking about the language, and I guess the literacy that you want students to have at different points. So again, Brighton and Hove schools have kind of fed into this, all 90% that have gone through the programme, and they think that that the students of this age are capable of understanding these concepts. Obviously, their understanding will evolve over time. For example, extinction, there are many levels to understanding extinction. You might not want to start with the really scary stuff, but so it's just a guide, but it's a way of thinking, right, what can our students understand at these different points? And this is an example of a greening the curriculum document. So during that second day of training, we will be looking at different subject areas and thinking about how we can bring more sustainability into those areas. And that's supported by this document that's been built up by many, many schools that have been through the programme. But you'll have your chance to feed into that and take those documents away. I mean, they'll be available on the website. But yeah, and then think about whether you can fit things in. So you've got that to take to your staff. So again, they're not starting from scratch. This is not reinventing the wheel. This is about finding opportunities within what you're already delivering. Okay, and then just moving on to sort of the operational side of stuff. Within our operational day, or that third day of training, we will provide templates and talk through how you can structure your climate action plan. And this is just an example of the decarbonisation and energy efficiency page. Not filled in, but breaking it down into what can we do about school transport? Is there something we can do to encourage more cycling to school? What can we do about food? How can we engage maybe local people that are really enthusiastic about community growing? Is there an opportunity for developing your gardening area through that? So this is a template, but I did want to show you an example of a climate action plan from Drake primary school in Norfolk, and you can see here that they've really worked hard to develop their climate action plan to fit in with their vision. So like I said, the first step after the trainings, to go back to school and think about what do we want to achieve for our school, what do we want it to look like. So they've built their vision, and then they've also thought about these prompt questions which we supply during the training, and that drives their conversations every time they sit down with their climate action plan to review it. They look at those prompt questions and think about how they can develop their biodiversity practice. And something else they do is they highlight all of their achievements. So they've got their achievements in one place, and that allows them to celebrate success and think about how they're communicating what they've achieved to the wider school community, and maybe even to the public, through newsletters and things. So that's kind of the program. Hopefully I've done a good job of explaining it, but I'm quite happy to answer questions. But I think something I just wanted to highlight was, although you might be doing a lot in your school, and that is fantastic and that's brilliant, what can our schools, our world offer you? I think it's basically a framework to guide this thought. Is it green? And fantastic if it is. Brilliant. Could it be greener? How can we move our current practice on to a greener place, so that we are really thinking about developing momentum, empowering our school community, and really being a shining light in quite challenging times. So yeah, and I can send this out when we send out the recording, but this is basically the program offer, so it goes through kind of what the program is offering. So please feel free to have a look at that, and if you have any questions about it, please come back to us. So the next steps in terms of thinking about the program and whether it's something you're interested in, is to identify your sustainability leaders and a working party. Now, the working party can be wider than these 4 individuals, but we would expect these 4 individuals to be making the decision about whether you want to be part of our schools, our world. So that's the head teacher. This really is a program that needs to be driven from the top, in terms of it's about culture change. It's about fitting in with what you're already trying to achieve in your school improvement plan. And that's why we do require head teachers at the first day of training. We need a senior program lead to guide the program and help kind of drive it, I guess, and recruit people onto it. We need the site manager and business manager involved, because there is such a strong operational element. And then we do encourage you to have a lead governor in place, so that you've got that governance and leadership from that body. So once you have those people in place, sign up to the training dates. So what we do is we're going to send out the recording, but also a sign-up letter, so that you can fill in the details to get the signatures from those key people. And once you've submitted that, then you are signed up to the program. The program is completely free, so the training is free, our support is free, but obviously there is quite a lot of commitment in terms of time and resource for this program. So you really think about that. The letter does detail all of that commitment and what we expect in terms of the CPD. Hopefully that will guide you. Inform your governing body. So once you've got confirmation you're part of the programme, it might be worth telling your governing body that you're taking part. Signpost the programme to staff so you can start showing them the website. And also talk to other heads, because we really want a viable programme. We need at least 15 schools to make the cohort happen. So if you can engage other heads and kind of go on that journey together, then that would be really valuable. Okay, so I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to ask Louisa to stop the recording if that's okay, and we've got a few minutes for any questions.